name is John Gray. Are you the artist of the cycles here?
Yes, I'm Sandra Wasko-Flood. Would you like to begin the cycles?
Yes, I would.
Let me turn on the projector here. Now, the beginning of the series is this peacock. And the peacock, to me, had become a symbol of birth and rebirth. Okay? And I did 3 cycles: life, death, and spirit.
Okay.
Because I believe these are 3 essential aspects of a person, which in this culture are all separated, you know, like body and soul, and life and death, and human beings separated from nature, and so on. And so I wanted to unite these and show that they are one. Okay, so the next slide, you see life cycle spring. This is life cycle summer. And here I've included man in the cycles, as you see. The next one is life cycle fall, life cycle winter. All right, now here you see the birth of the death cycle, and right there is the peacock superimposed over a mummy. The next one was death cycle summer.
Okay.
Death cycle fall. Death cycle winter. And there you see the mummy, which that one was made from. Some of them had their clothes on. The climate was so dry that they did, you know, deteriorate. All right. This is the birth of the spirit cycle, in which I used shadows of the life figures. Okay. Spirit cycle spring. Spirit cycle summer. Spirit cycle fall. And spirit cycle winter. Well, after the slide montages, what I did next was to have these blown up into photo montages, 16 by 20 Cibachrome photographs. And I'd like to show you some of these to you now. These are the peacocks, which, as I've said, introduce each of the cycles. The first one here is called the beginning and the end of the cycles, cycle being round, of course, and has a sunrise or sunset on it. The next one is the birth of the life cycle. And here is the birth of a death cycle, in which I have superimposed a mummy from Guanajuato, Mexico, which I took a picture of over this peacock. The last one is the birth of the spirit cycle, where you see a shadow of the life figure. Step over here.
I noticed in these that you have both male and female figures. Isn't it true in your earlier photos you only used female figures?
Yes, that's true. You must be thinking of my goddess series. Actually, women have been traditionally associated with the earth and nature, but for this particular series, I wanted to restore men to nature as well.
I noticed there are also a lot of different positions that the characters are in. Is that meaningful in the photograph?
Yeah, it is. Actually, if you look here at the life cycle, we have life cycle spring, and the woman is in a fetal position, a young woman. In the summer, we have a young man who's rising. In fall, there's a woman falling. And in winter, there is a man sitting down.
It's taken, the way you have them positioned, almost like a dance sequence.
Yes. Now, you can read these 2 ways. If you go this way, you're going through the seasons, spring, summer, fall, and winter, the death cycle, and of course the spirit cycle the same way, spring, summer, fall, winter. But if you go this way, you have all the spring cycles together, life, death, and spirit, and so on, with the summer. And if you continue on up, there's a transformation cycle where I use satellite pictures taken from the space, from outer space of the Earth.
Very interesting, almost abstract designs.
Yes, yes, actually, in these show cycles, I've done 3 things. I've interwoven 3 things: the slide montages, the photo montages, and photo etchings as well.
Exactly what is a photo etching?
Well, let me show you how that's done. Yes, if you look over here at this photo etching of Death Cycle Winter, I can tell you that I've used 2 different slides, and I've blown them up. One slide is of the tree, and one slide is the mummy. If you hand that to me, I can show you the codalist for these.
Those are these plastic things here?
Yeah, right. Here is the one of the mummy, as you can see, that was blown up from the slide in a dark room on some high contrast film, with an enlarger, of course. And here is the tree slide, the positive, and here is the negative. And what I've done is I take one of these photoliths and I expose it on a photosensitive plate. Here's an example of a photosensitive plate that has been especially sensitized to respond to light. And I put it on here and put a sun lamp over it for about 20 minutes, and then the image is transferred on here. Then I take the plate and I put it into nitric acid and bite it just like a regular etching plate.
Is this the plate?
Yeah, it's right there. And here is the plate after it has been bitten in nitric acid, which prints this plate.
So this was done a little sideways.
This was. Actually, it was printed twice, once with the lines with the light blue, and then in the relief areas with the dark blue.
I find it intriguing the way you have the photo etchings grouped around the gallery.
Yes, actually what I've done is I've put all the spring ones together over here. This is the life cycle spring, and this is the death cycle spring, and over there is the spirit cycle spring.
I see you have, it looks like a red blossom on top of all three of them.
Yes, actually I repeated the blossom plate over each one to give the idea of cycles and the repetition of things. And some of these, how many plates do you think might be in them? Actually there's 2 to 3 plates in some of them. And sometimes I ink them up in different colors, so I have 4 or 5 passes through the press. So they're very laborious, and they take sometimes like 2 or 3 hours to print.
They look so different. I noticed this is the spring cycle of the spirit, and yet you've got one on the wall there that looks very, very different.
Yes, actually the photograph has the shadow, which is very dark in it, but when I went to make the etchings, I decided, well, why not make the spirits light, you know, and white? And of course they're not pure white because the blossoms are superimposed over them. How'd you like to see the summer ones next? They're over here.
These photo etchings of the summer cycle seem to have a flower in them also. Is that true?
Yes, I have a flower in each one. It's one flower, a tulip, as you can see in the life cycle, and the death cycle, and the spirit cycle, which has the flower on the head of the shadow type figure.
It seems strange that death cycle is almost too vibrant to be a death-like picture.
Yeah, well, I think it's a sort of a burning sensation, you know, and it could be something in between. It's kind of an ambiguity. I'd like you to see the fall etchings now. Yes, there's the life cycle again, fall, and the death cycle, and the spirit cycle.
They have a lot of hand drawing on them, it seems. That they look so different than the slides.
Yeah, actually in my photo etchings I do a lot of that. I add a lot more. I change it. You see the hand of the artist. I can show you the plates from that if you want. Yeah, if you want to hand that to me, please.
Is that the codolith?
Yes, this is the codolith that for the fall life cycle, and you can see that I added some leaves on here. You know, and over here, this is the plate, the etching plate, and on here I've added more designs, deep bite relief designs to make that fall cycle. And the leaves in each of these do not come directly from the slide. It's a separate plate. In some cases, I only used one of the slides from the montage.
Very nice.
And over here is the winter etchings. Here we have the death cycle winter, the life cycle winter, and the spirit cycle winter.
That cold blue you use really invokes a cold winter feeling about the photos.
Yes. A lot of people like these, the winter ones, and I think it
They have a very nice, evocative feel. The peacocks, I notice, you use again to make the cycles begin.
Right. Over here is the death cycle, the beginning of the death cycle, and then here we have the beginning of the spirit cycle and the beginning of the life cycle.
Am I mistaken, or is that breast with an upside-down peacock?
That's right. Not everybody sees that at first.
It's very intriguing to try to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
Well, it seems we've almost come full cycle here today. Where will your work be going next?
Oh, that's a good question. Actually, I intend to expand more on these original ideas that I have. I want to continue working with the figure and superimposing it over nature backgrounds. But I want to start with the embryo and the baby, go through children and so on, and do the, for the backgrounds, I want to do a creation cycle, starting with elements and earth, air, fire, water, and creation of the universe and the creation of plants and animals and so on. And as far as technically, I want to get more into dissolve techniques with the figures and have the figures dissolving and fusing and transforming. And naturally, this is going to go into films and more video. And I like to make the point that, of course, all cycles are one. There's really no separation between life, death, and spirit.
I mean, it truly is a full cycle.
Right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I think you might enjoy coming to my studio sometime to see a demonstration of how I do these.
It'd be fun to see how it's actually done. Thank you again. Good afternoon, Sandra. It's so nice of you to have me to the studio. I like this room. It's so nice and airy and bright.
Oh, I'm glad you do, John. I like it here, too. I enjoy it very much, and so do my students, especially all the individual attention that they get.
Isn't that one of the prints you had at the Printmakers Gallery on display?
Yeah, this is the first one in the sequence, Life Cycle Spring. And these are the codoliths that I made it from.
I remember you telling me before about these, but I don't remember exactly. How are those made?
Okay, well, what I do is I start with the slides, and I first do the slide here, as you can see, the slide of the woman. And then I take the slide of the blossoms, which in this case is the bougainvillea that I took in Mexico. And I take both of those and I superimpose the two slides into one slide holder. And it looks something like this on the codoliths.
So it's the same basic image, only it's in black and white rather than the color.
Right. And what I've done is I take the slides and I blow them up to this size on this high contrast paper. I blow it up in the darkroom and develop these. Then what I do is I put them on the plates. Here, this is really the last step right here.
What kind of metal is that?
Oh, this is zinc, and it's what's used in etching a lot. It's a very soft metal. And these are the plates that I eventually print this print from.
Well, there's got to be at least one step between this and producing those plates.
There's a step between making these. What I'm going to do now is show you the blossom plate exposed on a plate, an etching plate, that has been treated to be sensitive to light.
It'd be interesting to see. Is that over here?
Yes, come over here to the dark room.
I see you have a little, I guess, curtain here with the light hanging up inside.
Yeah, right, I do. And what I'm going to do is take this plate. Thank you. Here's the plate I was talking to you about. It's
blue.
Yeah, it's blue. It's been specially treated so it's sensitive to light. It's a Japanese plate. And what I'm going to do is take this codolith and put it on top. This is a sample. See, it's not as big as the codolith. We're just going to do a sample.
And that goes in here?
Right.
All right.
And we'll put it
Can we lift this up for you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
We'll put this under the glass and expose it to the sun lamp that is at a certain height here. It's at the diagonal of the plate.
So this would come down?
Right. That's to protect your eyes, of course.
Oh, it's a awfully bright light.
Right.
Now, how long does that take?
It takes 20 minutes, but we won't go through that because that'll take too long. But I do have the plate exposed here, a sample of it. And I'll show you how it looks after it's been exposed for about 20 minutes.
Oh, I see. It's still got the blue on it, but the colors seem to be reversed.
Right, because the black is blocking out the light, so you're going to get a reverse effect. So what I'm going to do next is take this and put it in a solution of lye, 10% solution, and it will develop it and remove part of the emulsion on it. Okay, since it's kind of toxic stuff, as you know, lye, you put some gloves on. Here I have the solution, and I'll pour a little bit on. And this doesn't really take too long. It takes a couple minutes to develop. So it's a much quicker way to do it. There's other processes, the same thing that you need a lot of other chemicals for, but I use this because it's much quicker. And I'm going to take a paper towel here and agitate it a little bit, and it will start
I see, you can see
developing.
the blue coming off already.
Right. Has to be about the right temperature and everything. Okay, so it looks like it's coming off pretty well.
Pretty well, yes.
Yeah.
I can see it start to reverse.
Yeah, so I think what I'll do is, let's see, let me get it up here, and I'll show you. Yeah, it looks pretty good now. Let me show you.
Oh, yes.
See?
I see. It's got the reversal image, but the blue is still on there.
Right.
But you don't have the texture, that really deep, heavy texture you had on the plate over on the final product. How do you do that?
Yeah, you can't print from this plate.
No, you can't.
No, so what I need to do is put it in some acid, and a rather hot acid, nitric acid, over here, this tray. It's a 5-to-1 solution. Because,
that would be a very heavy-duty
right, because
acid.
I want heavy relief effects on this plate, and that's why I'm using that. And this is what it would look like after about an hour. Say we had it in there an hour in some really hot acid.
Is that what that mask is for?
Oh,
when you
yes.
use the,
I wanted to show you the mask. This is very important.
Like Star Wars in the studio. I like it. So you'd use that for the fumes of the acid?
Right, definitely. Very toxic. This is for both solvents and for acids. Here's what the plate would then look like when after about an hour in the acid. And of course, I've removed the stop out that they had on here.
That's that blue
right.
stuff?
And
okay.
now it's ready to print.
Oh, how do we do that?
Well, that's what I'd like to show you next. We need to set up a little stove here that I've contrived.
Over in the same area where the darkroom is?
Right.
Now, is the final thing for this burner and this stove, you put this heavy plate on top?
Right, that's correct. Yeah, this is my stove that I makeshift stove. It works very nicely, though. A piece of iron over this burner on a couple of bricks. And what I'm going to do is put some newspaper on it, and I'll start printing the first plate, which is the plate of the nude.
The nude, do you want me to get it over here for you?
Right,
okay. Any particular way it should go on?
Just right in the center like that. That's fine. Good. Okay, then I'll turn on the heat. We need to put this up to maybe about 100 degrees, which is body temperature, which is a good temperature for inking up the plate.
It helps the plate to absorb the ink when it's warm?
Right. And it also, it helps the ink to move the ink. You need to move it and spread it around. What I'm doing now is I'm opening up a can of ink here.
What kind of ink is this?
Oh, this is etching ink. It's like oil paint, but it's a little bit thicker. It has
looks very thick, almost like grease.
Yeah, it is. It has some thick linseed oil added into it. And so I'll take some out here and mix it around. I think I have some over here. Okay, I'll mix this one around. I'm going to need some of this color too, so I'm going to take this, open up this can, and this is some aquamarine, and I'm going to get it out. And I'm going to add a little bit of linseed oil to it to make it a little more viscous, so it's easier to wipe.
It looks like awfully thick linseed oil. Is it
yes,
special oil?
It is. It's pretty thick. It's a number 3. I think it goes up to about 10 or something in the... Okay, so we got some of this. Now, the first thing I'm going to do after I get all the colors out, I needed about 4 for these 2 plates. For this plate, I'm going to ink it in one color. I'm going to ink it in midnight blue, which I have right here. What I do first is I start with the ink on some cardboard. And I put it on this cardboard, and then I put it on the plate like this, putting it in the grooves. And I keep rubbing in a circular motion.
So less and less ink on the flat surface,
right.
More and more ink into the grooves.
That's right, that's correct. But in order to get it really inked up, what I need to do next is to take some newsprint like this and rub over the plate. Yeah, and then the last thing that I do is I take some thin paper, this phone book paper, and I finish wiping with this.
So you go from a coarse texture to a less coarse to a very fine texture to get more and more ink off the plate.
So
now, this looks like it's pretty much ready to print.
Yes, that's right. It's ready to print. And you can see everything in the grooves here, and I inked up the fish and the woman. Okay, John, we're ready to print if you get me the plate, the first one of the nude.
That's the nude. Okay, here it is.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to put it down here on this template or guide which I've made to register these 3 plates.
So it'll be centered on the paper.
Yeah, I have some lines here to register.
Now you
if
need
you
the
get
paper.
me the paper,
Now,
right?
which side was right on the paper?
Okay, it's the smooth side that goes down,
okay.
which is what I have right here. And I hold it diagonally to give me the best control. And I'm going to put it down right here on the lines that I have drawn for the paper size. Then I'm going to put down a piece of newsprint on top to help catch some of the water. And these blankets here.
Why these blankets?
Well, they help ease the passage of the print through the press. Also, the bottom one is a sizing catcher, and that catches some of the sizing in the water. And then we have a cushion and a pusher. And I'm going to push it under here.
It's kind of exciting.
Keep your hand out of the way.
I would say, not wearing a tie or anything of that nature.
Right. Okay, now I put the lever up. We'll roll back these blankets, and we'll see what we have for the first plate. But I'm going to keep the blankets on the paper so paper doesn't move out of registration for the next plate. Okay, let's see what we have here.
Oh, it's very
Looking
nice.
pretty good.
Very, very nice.
Look, we have the nude with the fish, which is the first one.
Now you do the same thing with the next plate. You just put it right where the other old plate
right.
was.
Now, if you take this plate and then hand me the second plate, thank you very much. And
now,
this one, yeah?
How do you keep the blossoms from printing over the nudes in the same area?
Well, that's a good question, and I'm going to need to put a stencil down.
Oh, I've been wondering what this is. Is this what you're talking about? This
That's
little
the stencil that's going to block out the nude so we don't reprint that. Okay, this is the point where I'm going to put it. Here we go.
Now this is taking the second image and putting it down over top of the first one with a block out for that one section.
Right, and you're going to see some of the blossoms come out in relief. But this is the background of the blossom plate. Actually, the next plate we print will have the color blossom.
So this won't be the final product we come out here?
No, we're going to have one more plate with the red
I wondered where the red was going to come in.
Right, yeah.
Now do you have to wash this plate off or something to
Yes, I'm going to have to wash it off with Barcel. I use Barcel. It's one of the good solvents to use.
So this not only is complicated, but it's also very complicated and time-consuming too.
Yes, it is.
Just to make one print.
Let's see what we have here. I'm going to take it up this time to see what we have.
Ooh.
Oh, that came out pretty well. Maybe a few things I need to touch up, but it came out quite what I expected.
So now we go to get the red on it.
Right.
And the final print.
3 different colors that I put out here. The red, as you can see, orange, and yellow. Going to charge the roller with this. The colors will blend together.
Now, do you apply the ink to the plate with the roller?
Yes, I'm going to roll this plate over here, the same one we printed before, but I'm going to roll the surface. Instead of the lower surface, I'm going to roll the upper surface and print it in relief.
That sounds like an awful lot easier way of doing it than
Yes, it really is. Here goes.
It goes on so easily.
Yeah, and I'm going to roll it a couple times here. And what I'd like you to do now is bring me the stencil because I need to wipe out the, let's see, I'm going to wipe out the woman's body to make sure it's white. I don't want it to come out.
The opposite stencil, right?
Yes, I don't want it to come out yellow. So we'll put it on the press. If you would get me the paper.
It's back here, okay.
Yes.
Here it is.
Okay, thank you. Right. I'll put it down on top of here.
Lines up pretty quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the blankets go on top to get the running through well.
And then I push it under the roller.
Can I put the lever down this time?
Well, I'll put it down.
Okay.
That's okay. Okay. Then stand out of the way, and here we go.
This should be the final image now. We've done all the
right. This will be the image that you saw at the beginning. When you came into my studio,
the framed one, yes, or maybe way back in the gallery when.
Right. And the one, right. So it should be the.
Kind of like Christmas. You're not quite sure what's going to. Once you unwrap everything.
It's usually a surprise, especially the first time you print something.
I can imagine it'd be a real gratification almost instantly.
Right. Never quite know exactly how it'll come out, even though you've done millions of them before. We should have the final print. Let's roll it up here quickly. And let's see what we have. Okay, now we're ready to pull it off here. Here it comes.
Oh, wow. Oh, I like it.
Yeah, look at that.
It's real pretty. Looks just like the one at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that from that plate, that piece of art came out.
Yes.
You mentioned you do these in different colors and different editions.
Yeah, sometimes I experiment with many different colors before I decide which edition I want to run, and sometimes I'll decide on 2 different ways or 3 different ways to print one print, and I'll run maybe 2 or 3 editions. It's very important to use a mask in these acids. This is the mask I use.
Kind of neat, kind of like Star Wars in the studio.
Yeah, right.
I like it.
I have an etching plate here that has been prepared to draw on. It's right here. This is what you usually do with an etching plate. You put a wax ground on it, you know, heat it on the stove, and then you take the needle and you draw through it like this. You see, you go.
Oh, oh, I see. So that does
Yeah.
the same thing as etching out with the photographic emulsion you had
Right,
on the
exactly.
that blue
And
stuff.
you can get all kinds of effects. There's all sorts of tools for this. You know, this is a cat's tongue, and it makes a little wider line, different.
Yes.
See, and then they have rollers and so on, like that. You can get textures with
Oh,
those
that's very
and so on.
interesting.
And then you put this in the acid, and it bites.
The same way you do the other.
Right.
So use the same
right.
zinc plate you used before
Yeah.
with wax rather than a photographic emulsion,
Right.
and then etch it out the
Right.
same way.
That